A big announcement by Amazon, huh? Big announcement, big investment in Pennsylvania.
It was great day. I was Monday in Berwick, Pennsylvania. Now, Rich, I grew up 6 miles from there. That was my high school was right down the road. And if you in 1983, I graduated. I would never have imagined I'd be standing there as the senator announcing a $20 billion investment in Pennsylvania, the biggest investment ever. Prior to that was $7 billion, which was the Cracker facility in Beaver County. And you know this. I've been on your show many times. I've talked about Pennsylvania's energy dominance, its
Hmm.
incredible skilled workforce, the building trades, its incredible technological prowess with Carnegie Mellon and Penn State and other places, as well as its proximity to within 500 miles, 65% of the population. Amazon saw all those things and invested $20 billion in two big campuses, one in Bucks County, one in Luzerne, Columbia County. And this is going to create thousands of jobs, direct jobs, thousands of indirect jobs, people supporting these data centers, and thousands of building trade jobs building these campuses. So it was a great day for Pennsylvania. This is on the back of the Nippon U.S. Steel announcement, a month earlier. And I suspect 6 months from now, over the next 6 months, there'll be other announcements. I think there's a focus on Pennsylvania, which is delivering good things.
Good, excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Senator, talk to me about the One Big Beautiful Bill and where it stands right now. Any concerns you may have?
Yeah, listen, I think if I'd been on your show 60 days ago, and I would have said, listen, here's where we're going to be in or mid-June, it would have passed the House. The president's agenda bill that sort of makes permanent the tax cuts and all the things that are in it would have passed the House, being debated in the Senate, the proposals coming out of committees with the idea that there's a decent chance we'll be done by July 4th. I think you and I have both said, no way. That's highly unlikely. So I think, and the fact that Mike Johnson, John Thune, and the president are all totally aligned. So I think we've made good progress. I think we're hoping that we can make the Senate can make this bill better. It's got makes permanent the 2017 tax cuts. If we didn't do that, we'd have the largest tax cut in history.
Right.
A family that makes $50,000 a year would have their taxes go up $2,000. Huge, right? We wouldn't have the immediate depreciation of R&D, capital, all these things that are very pro-business, all about growth. We wouldn't have, if we didn't do this, we wouldn't have the tax break on tips, Social Security, and overtime, which were the promises Trump made. It pluses up the border, gives us the investment we need to really secure the border. It pluses up defense, and it starts to bend the curve on cost reduction with $1.5 trillion of cost reduction. I hope and think we can do some more on that. I'm hoping the Senate version will stay consistent with the framework that came out of the House, but make some adjustments on the margin that'll pass both the House and the Senate. If we do that, which I think we will, that'll be a good day for America, a good day for the president.
And codifying a lot of these DOGE cuts, right, into law and making them permanent?
Well, the DOGE cuts are mostly reconciliation is primarily about entitlements and taxes.
Gotcha.
So most of the DOGE cuts will show up in the appropriations process. There's something which you probably know, this kind of inside baseball, but just for your listeners, there's something called rescission. And what can happen is the White House can propose a bunch of cuts to the existing appropriations. So money that's already been appropriated, the Congress can come in and basically unappropriate it. And that's where the DOGE cuts, I think, will happen. There's a rescission bill that's come out of the White House. I think it'll go through the House Senate. I think it'll pass, which will start to finalize or make permanent some of the cuts in foreign assistance, some of the things we've seen. The way I describe it, in our budget, it's like if you go to a 4-star restaurant and you pick up your plate and you see a cockroach, you then start to question everything in the restaurant. You don't want to eat any food in the restaurant. That's how I feel about DOGE. DOGE lifted up the plate, and we saw all this ridiculous spending in a variety of areas going to things that most Pennsylvanians and most Americans wouldn't support. And so now we've lost confidence that our taxpayer dollars, our precious taxpayer dollars, are being well spent. We're going to deal with some of that in rescission, some of that in appropriations.
Good. Thank you for clarifying that, because a lot of people had questions on that. Last question. I know you worked really hard on the Amazon deal to get that huge investment in Pennsylvania. You also worked really hard on the Nippon Steel deal, Nippon Steel, to save that, to save Pittsburgh, very close to where you grew up, as the steel capital of not only Pennsylvania, but really America too. So first of all, great work on that. You and the president deserve a lot of credit on that. It's huge. And to hear those workers and the tears in their eyes and talking about how important it was for them, a great moment for our country, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I mean, I give the president all the credit in the world. He, I was a little up in the air on it, to be honest with you. During the campaign, I raised concerns about it. At the Latrobe rally, where President Trump and I were both there, I sat with all the steelworkers, all the locals. These are the local unions, and they're all for it 100%. There's 4,000 workers in the Mon Valley. They're all for the deal. And I said, listen, if I win, my first meeting is you guys. I'm going to come and have lunch. So I went and had lunch with them down on the river, down where, near the mills. And we talked about what they needed and the risk to the way of life. And then you remember this well, you and I talked about the president came to Philadelphia for the national NCAA wrestling championships. And I sat next to him for a couple hours and I raised it and we talked about it. And he said, listen, I'm not there. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm worried about national security. It's not a good enough deal. And he pushed and he prodded and he poked. And the deal we have now is radically better than the deal that was before the Biden administration, and that they basically had killed the deal. $14 billion of new investment in U.S. Steel. This is new facilities. $3 billion in Indiana, $3 billion in Alabama, $500 million in Arkansas, $800 million in Minnesota, and $2.5 billion in the Mon Valley. A brand new arc furnace in the Monongahela Valley. This is like state-of-the-art technology. It protects the 10,000 jobs that are dependent on that in the Mon Valley today. It also is going to create another 10,000 jobs building this new arc furnace from the building trades, welders, steam fitters, pipe fitters. And it's going to put U.S. Steel in Pittsburgh, the headquarters, a U.S. CEO, a U.S. board, and the government having some oversight of the governance to protect our national security. So I could say to the president legitimately, I met with him the day before he made the final decision. And I said, Mr. President, this is great for our economic security. It's great for our national security. But most of all, this is great for those men and women who you and I made promises to. They voted for us because we said we're gonna create great opportunity for working families, make them have the American dream. This preserves that in the Mon Valley. This preserves that for the steel industry, and I'm so proud that he did it. And the deal's getting finalized as we speak, and that's going to be a great step forward for Pennsylvania.
Well, great work by you, my friend. Senator Dave McCormick, hey, thanks for joining us today. It's always great to have you on the show. Come back soon.
Thanks,
okay?
man. Thanks for having me.